This describes the Livingston Quarry, which has been used to provide stonework for roads and so forth, but it's very poor basalt. It's not strong. It's deuterically altered. Now, the most important thing is when you drive in, we're driving along the axis of an anticline because the basalt isn't flat like it originally was. The basalt came in as a sill, which is horizontal, but there has been deformation, and the deformation has been such that you have deformed the basalt into an anticline. Which gets us to why I think the banks are wrong in not lending money south of Crest Road, and this is the reason why. Crest Road runs along the top of the Palos Verdes area. All rich people live there. And if you look at this map in your itinerary, you'll see that we do have very plainly shown the symbol for an anticline that this road is driving on. You're driving on the crest of the anticline. Here's the symbol for the anticline. And of course, here's the Portuguese Bend landslide, and the Klondike landslide, and the Flying Triangle landslide. So Crest Road's up here. You can't see it because we had to move, but Crest Road is up on the crest of the peninsula, and the banks won't loan money because they're scared. They say, we got all these landslides south of Crest Road. We're not going to lend any money to develop homes. But when I wrote a report for the property, which you can't see on the just to the south of Crest Road at the top here, look what we have, and this has to be in your report. This shows the anticline. This shows the anticline. And maybe I could even emphasize it by coloring it in or blacking it in. This shows the anticline. So I'm trying to show you this is basalt. This is basalt. That is basalt.
Where?
Right here. So I heavied in the basalt.
Oh, it's a sill?
The basalt is in the form of an anticline.
The one in the dark.
And any property to the north of us is the safest property in the world because it has also deformed the Altamira shale, with the dip of the shale is into the hillside, and the dip of the sill is into the hillside. The sill is not going to slide in the first place because it's the best buttress you can ever get. There's no bedding planes in basalt, so this is a reinforcement below the Altamira layers, which are into the hillside, so they can't slide downhill. If there's going to be any slippage, which cannot happen because you got a buttress, they would slide into the hill and it can't happen. So this is a very, very safe region to build a home because the dip, the buttress is there, and that's tilted into the slope, and the beds of Altamira are tilted into the slope. And so I would defy the banks by saying there are great places to build south of Crest Road. We have this particular geological situation. Do you get it? Should be in your report. Should be in your report. I showed you something at the Livingston Quarry, which makes good sense as far as a building site to the north of the Livingston Quarry. The dip of the buttress is the sill, that's not going to slide, no bedding planes. And the dip of the Altamira shale on top of the buttress is not going to slide because it's tilted into the hill. Well, that's point one. The second point,
Point one.
that's my first point. Point one. The second point is this. What do you see at this stop in the landslide area? I see something very important.
Fractures.
I see this is the very bad basalt, deuterically altered basalt.
Is that a terrace?
And it's under the layered material. But what is the nature of the layered material? It's the Altamira shale on top of the basalt. And just in this immediate vicinity of the sill, it's crumpled because the sill came in. It's like pushing a plank under a rug, and therefore if you push the plank under the rug, you're going to wrinkle the rug. You will wrinkle the rug. What you see here is rather remarkable. You see the Altamira shale, which has been intricately folded because on the seafloor, when it was very soft mud and the sill came in, it would wrinkle and throw the Altamira shale mud into a series of contorted folds. You actually can see the Altamira shale layers, and they're all messed up because of the intrusion of the sill 15 million years ago. So you see that, and that's the first thing you see, are the contorted Altamira shale on top of the sill. When it was injected horizontally on the seafloor into the muds making up what was to become the Altamira shale, it contorted these very soft sediments into very intricate folds. The second thing you see is some rather smooth layers which do not seem to be disturbed. And those would be a terrace deposit. Later on, a few thousand years ago, the level of the peninsula was such that you formed a terrace, and we have some nice sands and so forth which are not disturbed. Those are terrace deposits, which are the rather smooth formation which is adjacent to the crumpled Altamira. And so that's really a nice thing to see. You got several things going for you here. Now we do have time, but we don't have time to explore this area. If you have time to explore the area, you see that trail? You go up and you can see some beautiful outcrops of formations with big crusts of crystal crusts of calcite, and there's also some barite here. There's quite a few minerals to collect here in the Livingston Quarry. We don't have time to walk up the trail. Next time you come here, do that. Now, also you see, they tried to control the erosion here with cemented drains, and those cemented drains are in bad shape. As you drive out of here in a minute, you'll see these cemented drains, which are intended to prevent erosion. They have deteriorated. They've been undercut. These mid-terrace drains are in poor condition because of the intensity of rains in years past, and you have undercut terrace drains, and just notice that as you on your left as you drive to the last stop.
You said that they're poorly created?
Huh?
The terrace drains are poorly...
They were put in a few decades ago to control erosion. And so they're not in good condition. They're even undercut. As you drive, you'll see some undercut. This is the terrace drain, and it's all been eroded away underneath the cement.
Oh, yeah. So
take a look at that as you drive out. And so turn right on Palisades Drive, and our last stop will be your need to permits, the parking permits. I have a Brunton compass here. Somebody has to volunteer, because if nobody volunteers, you all will have points subtracted from your exam final. So I want you to one volunteer, and to have, you should check it. You should check the dip and strike, because if the one volunteer is wrong, you're all wrong. And you have to be right. So we'll go to the last stop. I have a couple of things to show you at the Portuguese Bend landslide. Next, last stop.